Some Nigerians have reacted differently towards the conferment of the country's honor, while the other Nigerians are interested in the good that this can bring, especially regarding forming an economic alliance with India. Now, joining us to discuss this is Dr. Jake Epelle, the CEO and founder of TAF Africa, political and policy analyst. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Good morning. It's an honor to be here, and thanks to your colleague for that. Oh boy, it was great, great description of the pain of Nigerians. Kudos.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that, sir. Now, looking at the story about the Prime Minister, the Indian Prime Minister being conferred with the honorary GCO, and there have been several reactions. Some people do not care. There are others who think, why exactly are we doing this? But there are others who would say that maybe it will birth something good for the country in terms of an alliance being formed. What are your thoughts regarding this?
Well, the special honor that was conferred on the Prime Minister of India, probably he's still in Nigeria, or he's probably have left for the G20, just like I'm sure the president has left for the G20. It is a remarkable gesture and recognition that he is the second that have received that kind of honor. Queen Elizabeth received a similar honor in, I think it was in 1969. The Grand Commander of the Order of Niger, GCON. It is a great honor that is done on the visiting Prime Minister, but it underscores the high esteem. It underscores the high esteem that the country places on the Prime Minister. But then it also has its own economic and social benefits, which in the course of time I can highlight. I don't think it's a bad idea, but we need to capitalize on that and reap the benefits of the bilateral relationship, diplomatic relationship between Nigeria and India. There's a whole lot we can get out of that if we maximize it and follow through. The problem is, I'm careful when I use my phrase, follow through, because oftentimes we follow up and give up. But we need to follow through on most of the good dividends of this visit and the relationship that we have with India. It has a future implication because there is a far-reaching and potential benefits that we can derive from this visit, taking into consideration the trajectory of Nigerian-Indian relationship. Some of the issues that I think this government should look at and pursue are things like increased investment, enhanced security cooperations, and stronger collective voices on the global stage, or what they call the Global South. Some of the key benefits that both nations can stand to gain. We can continue the conversation, and I would like to pinpoint some of the key areas that both presidents have touched on. Cultural and educational exchange, and I can go deeper when you ask your preceding question. Health and medical cooperation, environmental sustainability, trade and investment. These are some of the points. The issue of diplomatic and strategic alliance especially the geopolitical cooperation, supporting each other in international forums and all that. There's a whole lot that
Yeah, I mean,
this visit
you can go ahead and go ahead and flesh it
yeah.
out. You can go ahead and flesh it out a little bit, because I think that's the key thing that many people are trying to understand. What is the value of these bilateral relationships that we're going to have with India? What are the things that Nigeria can benefit? So please expand a little bit further on what you think is possible between Narendra Modi and President Tinubu. And of course, also throw in your thoughts, on the BRICS angle. India, of course, has joined the BRICS unit, along with Brazil and Russia and South Africa. So let us know exactly what Nigeria-India relationships can benefit Nigeria, in what ways in particular. And, is Nigeria even set up to be able to reap those benefits?
I think I'll look at it from four dimensions, and hopefully time will allow me, because I did some intense research and to find out what actually we can benefit from this relationship and how we can pursue it. Number one is to deepen security cooperation. Deepening security cooperation. Both leaders express a shared commitment, to strengthen security cooperation, particularly in maritime security, counterterrorism, and intelligence sharing. This is very important to our country if we must overcome the menace of insecurity and counter-terrorism. I think that this collaboration can address the increased security threats in the Indian Ocean and Gulf of Guinea. Both leaders touched on this and took a deeper dive, even in the signing of the memorandum. The second is to boost economic ties. I mean, you said it aptly in what looks like crying for the economy that is in comatose, and so the visit will focus on enhancing economic and trade relations with a particular emphasis on sectors such as defense, energy, technology, and trade. I think I would like to talk a little bit about technology. India has really benefited from the technology and innovation. You find, for instance, that the head of Microsoft is Indian descent. In Silicon Valley, they are all over the place, Indian descent, who are occupying very strategic position. Whether you like it or not, they may be Americans, they have their root in India. And of course, foreign exchange repatriation, you can't beat it. India has one of the highest in the US. So India's significant investment in Nigeria, there are over 200 companies of Indian descent that are in Nigeria. I think that the president also touched on that and how they contribute significantly to Nigerian economy, although also there are some of them that are ripping us off, and unfortunately in collaboration with some Nigerians and Nigerian politicians, they are ripping us off. The second, or the third, sorry, is the advocacy for the global South. I did mention that in my opening statement. Both nations reaffirming their dedication to championing the interest of developing countries on the global stage. And I think the issue of the issue you mentioned comes here. So it will include working together within the international forum to address shared challenges and promote sustainable growth. Of course, we've talked about the honor that was done on him and the significance, but let me also talk about the issue that I mentioned that is of interest to Nigeria, which is cultural and educational exchange. there's a need to strengthen the people-to-people ties. The visit should emphasize cultural and educational exchange, including increasing scholarship for Nigerian students in India university and promoting cultural programs to foster mutual understanding and goodwill. Let me talk a little bit more on technology and innovation. So this collaboration on technology and innovation, particularly in digital infrastructure and startups, should be of immense benefit to us because it can drive up technological advancement and create new opportunity for young entrepreneurs in Nigeria.
Yeah. But Mr. Epelle, apologies. I apologize for jumping in. Yeah, there's a key part of it that I think we must talk about. And of course, in the interest of time, the question is Nigeria ready for these collaborations? Because it's interesting and it's important, to set up these bilateral relationships. And of course, we invite investors every now and then. But is Nigeria currently set up enough to benefit from these collaborations that we want to, with India? Or are we going to be parasitic to the Indian economy?
I think in direct answer to your question is up to us. Is one thing for anyone to advocate or ask for help. Is another thing for you to take that help. We have what it takes to maximize the import of this visit. We do have what it takes, whether it's human capital, the ability to engage and all that. The problem most times, my brother, is that the people that are involved in this discussion always put their personal interest above the interest of the country. They will go there and start looking for what they can benefit, what kind of partnership that they can grab for themselves, and sometimes they bring it back into the country. Other times they think of establishing outside the shores of this country. And we have many politicians, many of them are sitting, making noise in Abuja, that have huge business interests abroad. They do. They have huge investment abroad. They are prepared to put their money outside the shores of the country than to invest it in the country. Yeah. So the question is not whether we are set up infrastructure-wise, we are set up. Human capital, we are set up. We have the setup. The enthusiasm, we do have. It's just sometimes the patriotism that we need to drive in terms of driving home these benefits and bringing it back home for the betterment of poor and most vulnerable Nigerians.
At the end of the day,
that is the problem.
Yep. At the end of the day, we just have to figure out a way to make sure that it's beneficial to the country, but that also we have something to offer. Dr. Jake Epelle, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. We look forward to having you very soon as well. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Well, the only way we can get them and hold them accountable is when people like you and when people like my brother, who made that passionate economic plea this morning, if we keep talking about it, I mean, you don't need to know what happened during the election in Ondo. I'm still in Akure. Yeah. You don't need to happen. We have so commercialized the democratic process, and it's hurting the democratic structure. I am so ashamed the way and manner politicians were trading votes in Ondo. It's appalling.
It is really appalling and sad, and thank you very much for that charge. We will not stop talking about it. We wish you a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day.